Hey, it's Adrian. Just before we get you to this episode, do me a favor and head over to pageantlaunch.com. We are starting the world's first dedicated pageant review site to make the pageant industry safe, transparent, and fair. Three things that I know it is most of the time, but it's not like that all of the time. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, enter your email address, it's completely free, and let's get you to this episode. Hey everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project, and I have a special guest tonight. Sorry, it's Friday night for you. It's early Saturday morning for me, Nadia. Nadia Sayers, who is just announced, as of like 48 hours ago, Miss Universe Ulster, so she is a Miss Universe Ireland 2020 finalist. Nadia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me and for asking me to come on.
Absolutely. Now, just so everyone knows, I actually asked Nadia to be on before I knew she was even entered in Miss Universe Ireland. So it was interesting. We had about 3 days to go before the interview, and then she was announced as a finalist along with, obviously, my good friend Chloe Davies. So Nadia, why don't we start with how the last sort of 24, 48, or however long it's been since you announced yourself as a finalist, how has it been?
Oh my goodness, it's been crazy. I didn't tell anybody that I had entered. Not even my mum. My mum found out on Facebook.
That's always good.
So I got a phone call then. But no, I think everyone was just shocked because I kind of spoke about taking a step back from pageants, and like I said, it was something that I had thought about for a while, decided, and just kept to myself to see if I would make it into the top 12. So since then, people have been lovely. I've been getting messages, I've been getting comments. I was talking to Chloe all day today, so it's very exciting.
You mentioned that you took a step away, and by no means you're the only person who's told me that. I mean, it's almost the norm for a lot of pageant competitors to take a bit of a break and then sometimes come back. And normally when they come back, actually, as I say, the comeback is better than the setback, or stronger than the setback. Why did you decide to maybe take a step back, and then on the flip, why did you decide to actually come back?
I think for me, part of it was I've done pageants for years now, and I've loved every single experience. And like I say, I met Chloe in one of my very first pageants, and I've picked up a lot of very good friends along the way, and that's something that I really appreciate from my time in pageants, the people that you get to meet. But I think it was Miss Universe was always one that I wanted to try. It was always like up there that it was my goal to try and give it a go. And I gave it a go last year, and I really enjoyed it. But then obviously I kind of was like, you know what, maybe that's me done now. Maybe that's me settled. And I'm getting, for the pageant world, for a miss, I'm getting older as well. A lot of systems I couldn't compete in now either. So I thought I'd taken a step back, and then it started to be advertised, and I started thinking, well, maybe I could just one more time. It's that pageant bug. And especially because it is Miss Universe, and it is a goal. It's always been a big goal of mine for years to kind of compete there. And I learned so much last year, and I developed personally so much last year. So fingers crossed it can go the same this year.
Can you just give us a brief overview as to your pageant history, as it says right below me, very helpfully, so I remember what I'm talking about? Because obviously, originally, I don't know if you saw, but I changed the creative, like the promo stuff for this interview from Miss Intercontinental Ireland 2017. So obviously, you've already won a national title and represented Ireland. So how did you get into pageantry in the first place, and what steps have there been up till now?
I got into pageants kind of out of stubbornness. Yeah, it's always a really random one. Well, you'll remember it. Yeah. No, I started modeling when I was 16, and here in Northern Ireland, it was quite a small community, um, across the country that modeling and pageants weren't really a big thing here. There was never a massive community within on the island of Ireland at all. So I started modeling, went to university, and in university it was one person made a remark one day, because a pageant girl came up on our social media, and the person said, turned around and said, "Imagine you up on stage in a big dress like that." I was like, okay, okay then. So I entered Miss Earth about 2 months later. I'd never seen a pageant,
Right.
um, never followed one, didn't know anyone that was in pageants, but I gave it a go, and I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. So I competed in Miss Earth, I think it was 3 times. The first time was the
Oh
one that
wow.
I'd never seen a pageant or knew what it
Yeah.
was. So I went back twice. I placed the first time I got a modeling award, and then I placed third
Hmm.
the next year. And I kind of decided, look, I've done my best there, sort of thing. I couldn't see how I could have improved in that, so I'm happy to leave it like that. And then
Yeah.
there had never been a Miss Intercontinental here, and the year that it started,
Hmm.
um, I had seen it pop up, and I decided, well, you know what, maybe I could do this because in this pageant I could choose my own platform something that
Right.
I really cared about,
Yeah.
um, and I competed and had a great time, and I won. And it was a phenomenal experience. So I took a year out, maybe 2 years after that.
Yeah.
Um, yep, nearly 2 years. And then whenever I'd been watching Brittany, who'd taken over Miss Universe, so it's her fourth year now. So I've been watching how
Hmm.
that competition had kind of grown and what they invested in their winner, and how much they supported all of the contestants, and decided, sure, I'm not going to lose anything applying. But
Of
to be honest, I
course.
never thought I would get in last year, because I was like, oh my goodness, all these girls, and I'm just gonna like give it a go, I'll throw in an application. Um, so I think I was most shocked whenever I got into the finals last year. Then it brought us to this year.
That's quite a history. What do you know what it was? I mean, you said you got into it in the first place because of stubbornness,
Hmm.
which again, I'm not. I guess maybe I've heard that sort of a like almost entering just to prove someone wrong. I can understand that, but in terms of catching that pageant bug, what aspect sort of trapped you or got you hooked? What aspect of pageantry?
I think the main thing that kind of sucked me in and kept me going back was the community. Um,
Yeah.
like I always thought there is no pageant community here, but there is.
Mm,
It's quite small compared to other countries, um, but it's a community full of really passionate, good people, I find, very supportive people,
mm.
and I learn a lot off from them, and I hope they learn from me too, whenever we talk about our different platforms. So I just really enjoyed the process of getting to know all these girls, and they do, as cliche as it sounds, they become like your sisters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely. I mean, out of the 12, so the 12 finalists for Miss Universe Ireland, I mean, obviously, you know Chloe Davies. Do you happen to know any of the other girls as well?
So I'd be good friends with Chloe, have been for a few years. I would know of Catherine Walker,
Hmm.
um, but other than that, I don't know any of the other girls.
Okay. It
Yeah.
it might. I've been watching a couple of the intro videos over on the Universe Island Instagram, and it seems like at least a couple of them probably are complete newbies to pageantry, which is great. I'm
Hmm.
not saying anything against that.
Yeah.
So it would certainly, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if you didn't know them.
Hmm.
Nadia, let me just bring you up to date with the comments. And those of you watching this, I can see a bunch of you tuned in. If you have any questions, what was I going to say? If you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll pass them on to Nadia. For those of you who don't know, it's like 6 in the morning for me here, so my brain is not quite working yet. Now, Michelle Clovis Beliveau has asked, where does the pageant that's probably bug come from, which I've just asked. I I don't know, budget cone. I think it's bug. I
Budget?
think that might be an autocorrect thing.
Okay.
So, well, yeah, we've done that one. Julie here said, "I love it when you have these interviews. We can see how naturally beautiful and sweet they are. I am glad I saw your live right now. Stubbornness, you are so adorable."
Thank
Truth.
you so much.
I mean, on that note, I will say the Universe Island, when they announced you, they mentioned your red hair and the fact that actually red hair is basically becoming extinct. So
Yeah.
have you, I mean, there's a lot of, it's like talking about lawyers. There's lots of lawyer jokes. And when it comes to redheads, there's a lot of redhead jokes as well. Have you found the red hair, not just with pageantry, but just in general growing up, have you found it to be a source of like strength for you? And it's great because you're somewhat unique. Or have you been bullied for it on the other spectrum? Or have you sort of had both with the red hair?
Oh, I think for me, it was something I really had to grow into. Definitely when I was younger, when you're in school, um, kids make jokes because it's something that's different. I think there was only two redheads in my whole year group out of maybe 60, 70 children. Um, but one, I developed a thick skin. So
Hmm.
I could kind of just laugh it off. It didn't, never really bothered me. I could just kind of laugh it off. I never disliked my red hair. I've always loved it. I did hair modeling for a short while when I
Oh,
was
wow.
a
Okay.
lot younger, and they dyed my hair, and I missed my real hair color so, so much. So I honestly just let it grow out. I wasn't even going to keep dyeing it red. I just let it all grow out. It looked awful for about a year, but we got there. And I really do. I think the past maybe 10 years, I've appreciated it a lot more and how much it has given me strength and it has kind of
Yeah.
helped build my confidence with standing out a bit more.
Yeah. What color did they dye it, just out of interest?
Oh my goodness. So it was quite short. And at one stage, it was red, yellow, and orange. And then it was white, purple,
Yellow
and orange.
and
Oh, yeah. All at once.
what? Okay, jeez.
Yeah. Like
I
stripes.
think your redhead suits you really well. I don't know about red, yellows, and oranges and white.
Oh,
What were
I
they
know.
doing
Yeah.
to you? Were they trying to turn
Yeah.
you into an alien or something?
It was it was like to them, I suppose it's like art. Um, so I was just because I was very kind of easygoing about it, I was just the model that would let them work away. So I retired
Yeah, but
after about a year.
you've got to live with it for, for however long. So it wasn't temporary dye, it was actually permanent
No.
dye.
Yeah, it was bleach and everything. So I had to go and talk
Jeez.
to my school before it happened and explain it was an extracurricular and it would benefit me in the long term, but they were not happy still.
How did your parents react to it?
Um, so my dad kind of just overlooked it. I don't think he had the words. And my
It's
mum,
hard
it
to
would have,
overlook short, multicolored hair, but okay. And your mum?
oh, so every time I would have come back from the salon myself and walked into the house, and it was always like late at night because it took like 10 to 12 hours to get from my natural hair color to what they were wanting to do.
Jeez. Yeah, God.
And I'd walk in and mum would look around and she'd be like, oh my goodness, okay, so how long's this for? And I'd be like, well, they can't fix it for like 2 weeks, otherwise my hair will fall out. And she's like, okay.
That's
But
exactly
they
the
were good.
reaction that every girl wants when they've just had their hair done for someone to turn around and go, okay.
Yep, yep. But it's okay. They never give me a hard time or anything about it, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough. Well, look, I mean, I think it suits you amazingly. So I,
Thank
I
you.
kind of, I can't really imagine you being any other hair color. Yeah, no, no. Now, Christine Kohler, who's over in the United States, has said that she's shocked there are only 12. That's in part because of COVID. Nadia, how many were there last year?
So last year, there's always the initial application process. So you submit your
Yeah,
application, and then there might be some casting videos or photos or things like that. But normally the finalists, there was 30 every other year.
yeah.
So they took forward the final 30, and then they would have, on the final night, took it down to the top 10, top five, or top three, and then the winner. But I think this year, because of coronavirus, they had
Mm,
to limit the numbers of how many they actually took forward to the final. Just because there was no way. no matter what the restrictions would be, that they could have
Yeah.
done anything really with 30 girls. It's too many.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair enough. I think that's a sensible choice. I mean, you
Hmm.
can imagine, I don't know how many, Christine, maybe you can tell me, but how many entrants in the United States there would be for Universe. I mean, probably hundreds, if not thousands. So, Ireland, the pageant community, I will imagine, is a bit smaller than in the United
Hmm.
States. Although every country, it's probably small compared to the United States. Michelle also in the comments has asked, what for you is the most important part of a pageant?
So, well, with regards to the most, what I find most important and aspect wise would be
Hmm.
the platforms. I really like learning about everyone else's platform and what they actually care about and what they're passionate about and why they're passionate about it. And again, it's one of the reasons why I really enjoy taking part in pageants. I think it gives you that space and amplifies your voice to speak more about the things that need spoken about and the topics that need brought up.
Hmm.
So I think that should be the core of any pageant, really.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Otherwise, it sort of becomes a modelling competition.
Exactly.
Nothing against modelling competitions, but I just think that
No,
there is a difference. There should be a
yeah,
difference.
they're different things.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, on the topic of advocacy, am I right in saying that your advocacy is mental health?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is what I wanted to delve into a bit because mental health is always a pertinent topic, but especially during Corona and COVID, and especially in Ireland and the UK,
Hmm.
where you guys are basically in a second lockdown and going into a
Yeah.
lovely UK winter or Irish winter. Um,
Yes.
I, for one, am very worried. I don't know if you are. I'm sure you are, but I'm very concerned about mental health over there because I've seen some of the statistics about suicides and things like that because of Corona. So, can you, I guess, tell us just to begin with what got you interested in mental health in the first place?
So I think when I first came across the mental health side of things was in school, and I started studying psychology in school, and then decided that that's what I was going to do further study on in university. So I got my bachelor's in psychology, but while I was in university, I began to really, really struggle with my own mental health. And I think it was something that I always overlooked until I'd experienced it more myself, which quite often we
Hmm.
do because
Yeah,
you're aware of it, but you're ignorant to the full effect
yeah,
sometimes unless you know someone close to you or you've experienced it. And going through that and seeing how long it took me to actually realize that I needed to talk to somebody or I needed to access the help and the support, and and then actually trying to find someone to speak to, and that whole then journey back up the hill sort of thing towards me
yeah,
feeling myself again. Experiencing that, I felt, okay, well, I want this experience to count for something else. I don't want it to be lost time. I want it to be worth something. I
yeah,
want to pull a silver lining from it. So I started advocating then for mental health, and for suicide prevention, and started volunteering for suicide prevention charities. So a lot of my work now is within mental health charities. And then last year, I graduated with my master's in psychological therapies and psychology. So it's kind of, I want it to be my future career, but I've also been there, and I've had family members
yeah,
and friends who have been there, and I've worked with people now firsthand who have been in the midst of really struggling, but I've got to see them come from that space to feeling themselves in a better version of themselves because they've been able to access the right kind of help. Um, and I just think that everyone deserves it. Everyone deserves to be able to do that. And everyone needs to know that it's okay to
yeah,
ask for the backup to do that. So that's kind of where my passion comes from.
yeah. I mean, you mentioned earlier when we were talking about your red hair that you had or have relatively thick skin, which
Yeah.
obviously is a huge thing that we all need in today's in the modern age. What do you know? What exactly triggered sort of the decline in your mental health to begin with? Did you not have the thick skin at the beginning? I mean, I've definitely suffered from mental health. You can probably see the banner behind me. That's a book I released about mental health, and I detailed the fact that I've been depressed and actually suicidal twice. So I can certainly I can certainly empathize with you when you say that you wanted to turn something that was maybe horrible into something good, like it wasn't wasted
Hmm.
time, as you said. Do you know what sort of triggered your decline?
So I think for me, it wasn't one big thing. And I
Mm,
think that's sometimes the difficulty with people coming forward. They think it has to be one big life-changing disaster
yeah,
that
yeah,
makes you deserve help. But for me, it was lots of little things that had trickled down over a period of time. So things like my own self-confidence, relationships that I was in, people that I'd been around, um, lots of things that you kind of go through. But I just kept throwing to the back of my mind and saying, "Oh, well, that's fine. I can cope with that. That's no big deal." But eventually, all those things that you throw to the back of your mind are going to come forward.
mm,
So all of mine came forward at a time where I was in my final year of university. Me and my ex-partner had just broken up, and it had all just kind of came down at once. I wasn't really looking
yeah,
after myself. I was working long hours as a student. I wasn't eating enough. I wasn't like exercising. I wasn't trying to kind of do that self-care either. So I think that's kind of everything just built up for me and I fell apart all at once. So then it was a case of learning why all of that happened, learning that if something pops up now, I need to talk about it as it pops up, and then also
yeah.
looking after yourself the way you would taking your daily vitamins and going to the doctor, making sure
Mm.
you're doing your self-care and making sure you're checking in on yourself mentally as well.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to me that you say that because it was exactly the same thing for me. It wasn't just one thing, it was multiple things happening at the same time. And it
Hmm.
just became too much. And I was probably in a similar situation to yourself, not really taking care of myself. But I think for me, the really interesting and vital question, and I want to ask you because obviously you've studied this at university, for people who are going through a tough time, and there's going to be loads of them watching this, and just in general, not just the pageant community, but the world, how do you know when to ask for help? Because obviously we all have down days. But
Hmm.
then, as you said, and has been my journey as well, at some point you just that downhill kind of slope gets too much, and then you suddenly find yourself at rock bottom, and at that point it's life or death.
Hmm.
In your opinion, how would you know, looking back on it, how would you know when to actually ask for help? If you like, is it a few bad days in a row? Because this is a thing for me. I've never really been
Hmm.
able to work it out. When would you ask for help?
Okay, so firstly, I think everybody at some stage in their life needs to access some form of like I'm a big advocate for talking therapies or art
Mm,
therapy, music therapy, something like that. I think life in general is really heavy at times.
yeah,
If you're going through your whole life, you're going to be picking up weight. So you
yeah,
need to let it off at some stage. If you go by like the World Health Organization, they'll say if you're feeling low for 10 days to 14 days, then you need
right,
that's
okay,
you're technically depressed. That's
okay,
but I would say personally, say if you're starting to feel low or it's starting to, or even like the likes of anxiety, if it's starting to really impact your
mm,
life and it's coming up more and more frequently, if you notice that it's coming up more and more frequently, just talk to someone. Nobody is ever going to turn around and say, no professional should ever turn around and say, sorry, you're not unwell enough, or sorry,
yeah,
you're
hopefully.
too healthy to be here. Do you know what I mean? It should be a
You're too
case of
happy, leave.
yeah, it should be a case of, right, okay, well, what do you want to talk about? Because there might just be something,
Mm,
even though you don't feel like it's a big deal, maybe it could just be an hour or two, or even just speaking to a friend,
yeah,
and that's enough to kind of set you back up for a little while.
yeah,
But it's hard to identify, and that's why I think I'm always saying about keeping an eye on each other. If you can't keep an
yeah,
eye on yourself and monitor yourself, because it takes practice, look after your friend and get your friend to look after you as well, because you'll always notice it in a
yeah.
friend before you notice it in yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Um, in terms of, I was going to ask something that I've forgotten now, but oh, that's what I was going to say. God, I'm sorry, my brain is not quite kicking in yet.
Don't
In
you worry,
terms of
mine's just
who,
slowing down.
I haven't had enough coffee, which is something else we should discuss. Coffee, but to bring it back to mental health for a second, you mentioned talking to friends, and I just wanted to ask you, would you advise talking to a friend or seeking professional help, whether it is let's say, a free support line or an actual therapist or
Hmm.
psychologist. Because when I wrote my book about mental health, one of the chapters I wrote about is what to do when a friend approaches you and they say,
Hmm.
I'm depressed or I'm going through a tough time, or God forbid they say they're
Hmm.
suicidal. Because I think a lot of people freak out, right? They
Hmm.
go, oh my God, if you come to me and you say that, I don't know what to do. Um, and I just wrote that it's really important just to listen and to give the person space to express themselves and just to validate that, whatever you're feeling, it's okay. You have a right to feel that way. Whether you want to stay there or not is another question. Um, just from your, I guess, because again, you've studied this at university and you've worked in it, would you advise people on the whole to go and seek professional help in the first place, or would you advise them to talk to a friend or a parent first?
Honestly, I think it's very situational. I think
Yeah.
whatever you can do, do. Some people feel more comfortable initially going to a parent or saying to a friend.
Mm,
Some feel more comfortable going to someone that has no idea about them, that they only see and talk to during their allotted appointment. Um, and I just think the most important thing is as long as you talk to somebody, if you go to a friend or go to a family member, you're completely right. As a friend or as a family member, just listen. Just sit there, be open,
mm,
let them feel their feelings. But I would always say, see if it's quite serious or it's something that's quite persistent, bring them to help, whether it's a helpline or a charity service or the state
yeah.
service. Try and get them that help because I know waiting lists are incredibly long. Um, they are, so that's why I would try and advertise a lot of like free helplines and free charities that don't have waiting lists or might only have a couple of weeks waiting lists. I actually have a highlight on my Instagram as well that'll have a little list of them for local ones.
Right. And I was going to actually ask you, so for your local area, for Ireland, in terms of, I had no idea the waiting lists were that long. In Australia, I guess the waiting list, I had a good friend who helped me write that book and she had to seek help. And the waiting list was 2 weeks. So she actually booked in for two separate services at the same time when she
Hmm.
initially started her recovery. And that was, she always said that was fortunate for her because the first person she went to was actually pretty horrible.
Yeah.
So she was very glad she booked in the second one. But in terms of the resources available, mental health wise, in Ireland, free and otherwise,
Hmm.
what are the ones that the first ones that you would advise going to?
Well, I would always say, always try, always get an appointment with your doctor.
Yeah.
Again, waiting lists within your actual doctor services can be really long, but I think it's always best to get that appointment anyway, get put
Hmm.
on the waiting list, and then
Yeah.
go to the likes of a local charity or use a helpline in the interim.
Hmm.
Because it could be that maybe there's some more specialized services within the doctor service that you
Yeah.
can avail of, but it just might take a bit longer. So while you're waiting there, you could go to the likes of a charity and talk to a counselor or talk to a psychologist for that 8, 10, 12 weeks that you might be waiting.
Yeah. Is there something that can be done in order to shorten those waiting lists? Is it a question of raising more funds? Is it a
Oh,
governmental thing? Oh, here we go.
well, no, I think it is. There's a lot more funding needed. Again, I don't know where that comes from or where that's to come from. It is very underfunded. As well, I think there needs to be more money put into recruitment of therapists.
Hmm.
Because even for me, if trying like I keep an eye out to for the likes of applying for trainee positions, and there's only a couple advertised, few advertised every year up here.
Oh,
So
okay.
it is tough to try and get into, but it's also because there's the lack of funding to pay the salaries, and hence the long waiting list. But then I think there just needs to be a new protocol nearly. Because
Hmm.
sometimes what you'll find is if people are in trouble with their mental health, they'll be brought to A&E, and A&E is not a place for someone who's struggling to sit. It's really just they're being brought there to keep them safe for that time.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas I think if there was a hub, a central hub in each county or in every other county,
Hmm.
that was a safe unit that if someone is really struggling, they can go for the night or they can go for 48 hours and get the support that they need to keep them safe in that time frame,
Yeah.
then that would make a massive difference. That and also early intervention, which is something I'm starting to work a lot more in. And we're always very, in the past, we've always been very reactive to it. because I suppose we didn't really know much better. But I
Yeah.
think we need to start making sure that we can be proactive and trying to teach children and young people and even adults now that trying to teach them the tools that they
Yeah.
need to kind of get through life and try and get rid of that stigma. I think if people understand the tools and you start the conversation with these children, then the stigma is going to deplete as they get older anyway, because it'll be a normal thing for someone to say, just feeling a bit anxious today. I
Yeah.
think I'm going to go for a walk, or I'll go and visit my friend. Um, Whereas even when I was in school, I don't think I ever would have heard anyone say, "Oh, I'm feeling a bit anxious. I just need to take a step back." Never.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's as they say that, an ounce of prevention is better than, well, prevention is better than cure. So, and definitely if we can talk about it, and talk about it without that sort of stigma or embarrassment, because I have to think that there's no one who has not struggled with their mental health at some point
Hmm.
in their life. I mean, if you haven't, then that's great for you, but especially going through this year, I got to imagine that everyone has struggled with their mental health to some extent. Nadia, let me just bring you up to date with the comments because I've been ignoring them for a while. Now,
Okay.
Diana, who just happens to have the same surname as yourself, has said, "Future Miss Ireland, no question, beautiful and eloquent." I'm imagining Diana, you don't know
Oh,
Diana. Is this your mum or?
that's my aunt. Yeah, that's my aunt.
Okay, there you go. Got the family support going on. Christine has about the universe and how many there are. She said state finalists at Illinois, so Chicago. The state has averaged 60 to 120 over the past 10 years. So there you go. Yeah, it's a lot bigger in the United States, Christine. I mean, that boggles my mind even talking from Australia. And Julie has said, "I can empathize with you. I love that statement as it relates to my current pageant platform." Thank you for saying that. Guys, if you have any questions about mental health or pageantry or anything, just put them in the comments and I'll pass them on to Nadia. Nadia, final question about mental health, just so we can talk about something that's not more important, but maybe something that's a bit happier. Because mental health,
Yeah, a bit
one
later.
of the, because I used to work in mental health, and honestly, I needed to step back from it because it's just so heavy and draining, and you
Yeah.
hear horrible story after horrible story. Even though you can make a difference, it's just like, oh my God, I need to take a step back. Where do you see yourself working, or where would you like to be working, let's say, in a year's time, in 5 years' time? If Corona disappears today,
Hmm.
hopefully, where do you see yourself working in terms of mental health and your career in general in the long term?
So I think within the next couple of years, I kind of want to focus more on one, developing my research skills and my research report skills. But also I want to be back working with I want to be working with young people, but within the
Mm,
early prevention and with getting them talking, getting their ideas, finding out what they're thinking, because there's no point me turning around and saying, "Oh, well, this is what you're going to go through and this is what's wrong." They need
yeah.
to tell me. They need to tell me what they need help for. And then just trying to build up those links. And then I think longer term, 10 years or so, I would love to be a qualified psychologist, working one to
Mm.
one with clients and being able to actually provide the therapy and feel like I'm playing a part on that end as well.
Yeah. How much more study or certification is there involved in you becoming an actual qualified psychologist? Because you've already done 3 or 4 years of tertiary study. So for a lot of people, they would think that should be enough. Is there additional qualification involved in becoming a
Oh,
proper, well,
you'd think so. No, there's a few different ways of going about it, but as of now, I could apply for an assistant psychologist post,
mm,
and get experience in assisting a fully qualified psychologist. A lot of the time, people will go for their doctorate,
mm,
to try and get that. But at the moment, I'm volunteering. Well, I'm in the process of starting to volunteer for a text crisis line to try and build up some
oh
client
wow,
hours
okay,
as well.
yeah.
So that'll build my one-to-one hours. So that's what I'm really focusing on now.
Right. So it's kind of a matter of getting your sort of hours like we have with our driving license here in Australia. You need a certain number of hours before your license. So is that how you
Yeah,
become qualified? Is you need to get the hours?
it's a kind of a mixed bag. You need to be able to get into the likes of an assistant post and then go for the likes of a doctorate. It depends on what kind
Right.
of therapist you want to be. If you wanted to be a
Right. Okay.
psychologist, that's what you need to do. But as of now, I could do CBT training and then, which is one course
Okay.
for one more year, a few hours, gather up my hours in and then specialize in that. So I think it's something that you're constantly going to be doing different courses and learning different methods of
Okay.
therapy.
Can I just say from an initial sort of impression, given how long the waiting lists are and given the huge problems with mental health generally and particularly in Ireland, and how few positions there are and how difficult it is actually to become, registered, it sounds like something needs to change there. If you don't have more psychologists and you don't make it easier for, I'm not saying you shorten the qualification process. Obviously, you want people who know what they're doing, but it
Mhm.
sounds like you got to jump through a million hoops to get to the point where you can actually help people.
Yeah, for psychology, to become a psychologist, well, from my experience, it's not a linear path. You know what
Right.
I mean? There's a few
Yeah.
different methods of trying to get there, but it takes a while. It's a long road to go down. And again, I just think a lot of it comes back to there's not that much funding in the end
Yeah.
for the more junior trainee positions. Whereas if there were a lot more of those, then people obviously would get trained up and
Yeah.
through a lot quicker.
Yeah. Yep. Well, stay the course because obviously you're going to be very,
Yeah.
very needed, especially this year and whenever this godforsaken pandemic deserts us. Anyway, let's talk about something more uplifting. Let's talk about coffee. Just to completely
Okay.
smoothly transition.
Okay.
That was a smooth segue. Coffee.
Yes.
How do you take yours?
Oh, it just depends. So typically I don't take dairy.
Okay.
So if I want a nice coffee, I'll get maybe a flat white with oat milk in it. It's very good. Or sometimes just
Hang on.
black if it's a nice coffee
What's it? A flat white without milk? Isn't that just a black
with
coffee?
no with oat milk.
Oh, okay. I thought you said
Sorry,
without milk. There you go. The
I
accent
spoke
has
too
thrown me
fast.
off finally. I was actually saying a flat white without milk. It's like that's a black coffee, right? Okay, with
Pretty
oat milk.
sure. Yeah, so that or sometimes if it's really nice coffee, I just take it black.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a black person myself. I often, when someone offers me milk in my coffee, I often say, don't you dare ruin my coffee with that stuff. Um, how many of the non-dairy alternatives have you tried? Because very often they don't froth quite the same as normal milk. So have you run the whole gamut of oat, almond, soy? I don't know what you guys have over in Ireland.
Yeah, so oat is my number one. More
Hmm.
just I think that you can get like the barista style, which kind of froths a bit easier.
Yeah,
Then I would go on to almond, especially depending on what like my macros and stuff are looking like that day if I'm being good and training and telling my coach. Um, I've tried hazelnut as well, and it's pretty good. But
oh
there's a
wow.
good selection. Yeah, it's a good enough selection.
Wow, I'm impressed. Hazelnut milk, that's not one that I've ever heard of before. Um, when you when you do have your coffee, I mean, how do you make your coffee at home, or do you not make coffee at home?
Yeah, I do. It's been a bit of a point of contention in my house, because I really like to make coffee at home.
Hmm.
And especially whenever all of this happened, I was like, I need to be able to have at some
Yeah,
stage a cup of coffee. I'm working from home now. I need to have a nice cup of coffee at some stage. I
yeah.
know, first world problems. But no, I have a cafetiere. I have a coffee machine with like the pot coffee machines,
Hmm.
just with the filter.
Yeah.
And then I have like a barista style coffee machine as well.
So you have three machines.
Well, two machines and then like a little cafetiere. Yeah.
What's a cafetiere? I don't know what a
Oh,
cafetiere is.
just
Educate
like
me.
the little just like the little like it's like a big glass jug and then you push the pump down on it.
Oh, yeah, percolator. We call that a
There we go.
I
There we
know,
go.
I know what you mean. Okay, all right. So,
So we're just one of those.
which I don't know how you survive the drip coffee, the filter coffee though. If you've had like proper barista coffee, I can't go back to the pot coffee. That's not existed in Australia for 20 years. Like you can't get that anymore. Don't you find it a bit of a letdown when you have the pot coffee after you've had like a proper strong barista coffee?
I think part of it is the novelty for me, because I'd never had like it's gonna sound really random, like a coffee pot. I'd never had like coffee from a coffee pot until I bought
Yeah,
my coffee machine. Um,
right.
I lived in LA with my aunt who commented for a few
Right.
months, and she had a machine. And she
Yeah.
showed me how to use this coffee machine where you just put the coffee grounds in and
Yeah.
it kept this pot of coffee warm and like I loved it. It was the best thing ever because I'd only ever had instant before then.
Oh,
So
okay.
then I came back and was like, well, I need to get me one of these.
Okay. I am definitely a coffee snob because I was going to say those machines, it's a very American thing.
Yeah.
I've not seen those pots of coffee anywhere apart from America. But but
Hmm.
but for me it kind of goes, proper barista coffee obviously is on the top and
Hmm.
that's goals. Then the pot coffee is kind of here. I think the percolate press machine is a bit above the pot machine,
Yeah.
and then instant coffee is sad and by itself at the bottom. I only have instant
Yeah.
coffee as a completely last resort because it just doesn't do it for me. You
Just
mentioned
not the
also
same.
counting your macros. Yeah, your macros and your trainer. So are you doing a lot of training? I mean, not just for pageant, but are you doing a lot of personal training as well?
Yeah, so I would do training anyway. I think I would go to the
Yeah,
gym 3, 4 times a week. But again, a lot of it's more for my own kind of well-being and stress
yeah.
relief and all that. So I'd started seeing training with this coach, and before I even applied for Miss Universe this year,
Mm.
and now I actually had to message him when I found out that I got through, and I was like, so I know we were doing this, but now we need to do this. Uh, can you make that work? And he's great. He just kind of flipped everything, and he's a nutritionist as well, and
Nice.
like a sports masseuse, so he kind of looks at it in a very
Oh
holistic
wow.
way. And
Okay.
he's very passionate about mental health himself, so he just kind of
Wow.
he doesn't he's a good guy, he runs a good business, and he very kindly has offered to be my sponsor as well for this year. So
Oh my God, Nadia, that's like a one.
mm.
That's a one-stop shop. I was going to say you should let
I
us know
know.
who it is so we can give him a shout out, but I think you might want to keep him to yourself.
Oh, he is amazing, and he takes online clients from all over the world. There we go. So no, he's very good. So he's been trying to simplify a lot of things. I think the fitness world can be overcomplicated sometimes
Oh yeah,
for
yeah.
for a novice. So he kind of stripped a
Oh,
lot
for
of things
anyone.
back.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
anyone. I mean, everyone wants to sell you something, and how they
Hmm.
sell you something is by making it seem complicated and creating problems that don't exist. So then you feel like you have to buy something. Whereas at the
Yeah.
end of the day, for a lot of us, if you just went out and went for a walk or a run or just started doing something, it'd be
Yeah.
better than what 90% of the people in the world are doing. So that is sorted. What sort of training are you doing, just out of interest, in the lead up to Universe? Is it cardio? Is it weights? Is it a combination? Everyone has their own sort of preference.
Slight combination. It's mainly weightlifting, and then just really getting my steps in. I've kind of
Hmm.
upped my steps to try and get that cardio in every day. And also as well, just because of the whole lockdown, to get out and get some fresh air at some stage,
Yeah.
and clear my head. So I was out this morning at 6 a.m. for a walk before I started work, and it
Hmm.
makes such a big difference to your day. So then I'll be in the gym tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I saw that you're up early like myself. Finally with Universe, obviously you made it through to the final 12 and this is your second time. Do you have any specific goals for yourself in terms of where you'd like to place, or are you just happy to make it through and you're just going to enjoy the process for what it is?
Oh well, obviously I'd love to win it. But it's just because I know that I could learn a lot from them, but
Mm.
I also know that I would work a lot for them. I really think that I could make a big difference. And I do think I could, with their help and support, do the title justice, and follow in those footsteps of the amazing girls that we've had before.
Yeah.
Um, so that would obviously be the ultimate goal. But from now, I'm just so happy. Like me and the girls are talking in like group chats and everything, and they're all so
Hmm.
lovely. And I'm going to just enjoy the process, take it all in, and learn as much as I can from Brittany and the whole team and the rest of the girls. Last year, I made it into the top 10, so I'd love
Hmm.
to get top 6 this year,
Hmm.
minimum. So that's the aim, but we're just going to see.
Very nice. Just before we move to the close, I want to ask you. You just reminded me about Matea. I know you know Matea Henderson
Yes.
over in Canada. You've done the same system as her. Can you tell us about your friendship with Matea? Because what sparked it is I asked Matea. I don't know if you saw this, whether she was competitive, and she quite enjoyed that question, and she said, "Do you
Mm.
want to you want me to tell the truth or do you want me to lie? And I think she might be one of the most competitive people I've ever met, and I've met a lot. So tell us about Matea and your friendship with her.
Well, I'm glad you said that and not me. Matea
She
is
said it.
really competitive.
She, not me. I
But
asked her how competitive she is, and she started laughing. I was like, okay, I know what the
yeah,
answer's going to be.
no, Matea is a competitive person, but in the best way.
Yeah.
She is competitive, but she motivates other people. We met whenever we traveled to our finals together, internationals together, and we kind of just gravitated together from the airport in Istanbul and stuck together until we had to leave.
Oh
She
wow.
also loves coffee. We
Yeah,
bonded
no,
a
that's
lot
yeah.
over that. We
Yeah.
snuck off for many cappuccinos. Because you weren't getting much sleep, so it was the only thing really. We were trying to keep ourselves going. But Matea she is just, there's some people I always think they're just sunshine. Their hearts are just golden. And she's one of those
Mm,
people who she just wants to put good into the world. She wants
yeah.
to support everyone. She wants to help everyone. And she'll do it because she's got the drive and the motivation and the competitiveness to
Yeah.
do it. So,
100%. Yeah.
oh, I love her. She actually messaged me the other day and she was like, you did not tell me this. We need to have a call." Okay. Yes.
uh, how competitive are you, Nadia? I mean, you've got the red head, so the red hair, so the stereotype is for you're fiery, competitive, and feisty and stubborn and all that stuff. So how competitive are you?
I think I'm a happy middle ground. I never really was a competitive person. I
Hmm.
kind of always just focus more on the journey. And then whatever I get, I get. But I do think over the past few years, I have had a lot more drive to achieve when I actually set myself goals now, so I have a lot more drive to achieve them. And the way I
Yeah.
think of it is I'm just going to make sure that I do everything I can so that if I don't hit that goal, I can't regret not putting my all in. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think the worst thing in the world to feel is regret.
Yes.
And you never regret the things that you've tried, only the things that you never tried. Now, speak of the devil. I didn't know she was watching, but
Oh
Matea has said to
no.
Laura so much. Matea, if
Oh.
you're dressed up or whatever, I mean, you look fantastic as it is. But if you want to jump on the call, let me know. I'll message you the link, and you can say hi to Nadia in person. Or in fact, if you just want to jump in on the audio, Matea, let me know. I'll send you the link, and you can
Hmm.
just say hello to Nadia. We can do a call-in show, Matea, all the
A
way from
reunion.
Canada. Yeah, yeah. You don't need to. So you don't need to appear in video, Matea. But if you want to just say hello or ask Nadia a question to put her through her paces,
Yeah.
then just let me know and I can message you the StreamYard link. And Chloe Davies, hey, I'm so sorry I'm late to the party, guys. Be fashionably late
Aw.
as always, Chloe.
Yep.
Always. You saw the jalapeno thing, right? With
Oh, I'm a big supporter of you streaming it live so I can watch. Yeah, definitely.
you're a big supporter of me killing myself by eating. How does she? Why does she? How is she able? I don't know the why. Or like, how is she able to eat these things? How do you just eat
Like,
jalapenos?
I love jalapenos, but I thought she meant maybe she would eat like 16 is the record. I thought she'd be like, oh, well, I could get 18. And then I read on her
Yeah,
story earlier, she said, oh, I used to eat them just out of the jar
yeah,
before school. I was like, that's next level, Chloe.
yeah. She eats jalapenos and sweet corn. Just
Oh, yeah.
those two put in a bowl together with cheese. Now I remember as a
Yep.
meal, and I don't know how it doesn't take the roof of her mouth off.
If you anyone that's watching, if you follow her, you'll frequently see bowls of sweet corn and jalapenos on her story.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's healthy, but anyway. Matea has said, "Oh my gosh, I'm just running out the door. I wish I could." Okay, Matea, take care next time. And Chloe is laughing. Chloe, I need to prepare myself for this because I'm not. I'm okay with. How are you with spicy food?
I love spicy food. I'm not Chloe
Okay,
level, but I love spicy food.
okay. And I just need to ask this because it keeps coming up. Do you like curry sauce?
Curry sauce. Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever eat Chinese in Ireland?
Yes. quite often.
And okay, so what are the favorite dishes you would order from a Chinese restaurant in Ireland?
Oh, I don't order curry. Um, I get like a salted chili chicken, maybe, or honey chili sauce. I like Indian food. I'm a big fan of Indian food.
Okay. All right. See, Chloe, that actually sounds like proper Chinese food. Chloe has shown me the menu for the Chinese restaurant in Derry,
Oh
and
no.
I'm looking at it going, that's not Chinese. And she keeps going, it's not. My whole life is a lie. Anyway, and then she said, love you guys so much. Chloe, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for
Yeah,
always
thank you so
providing the
much.
laughs. Okay. Nadia, before we move to the final 10 questions, I'd like to give you a chance to shout out or say thank you to the people who supported you, not only through pageantry, obviously, but just in life in general. So is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
Oh my goodness. I've been so fortunate. There's just so many. All of my girls, the likes of Chloe and all the girls that I competed with, the girls even I competed with last year, they've all been messaging me and they've been so supportive. And my mum and my family, they have stuck it out every pageant I've done. They've dealt with all the hair extensions and makeup and mirrors flying everywhere, so they're trippers.
Also, I just want to bring up the fact that during lockdown, you actually were proposed to, and you said
Yes,
yes.
yes, I was.
So, without divulging too much of the detail, how did the proposal happen? Can you give us the details?
Uh, it was it was actually, bless him, he tried to propose, he planned two different proposals. Planned a proposal and
In
then
case you
the
said
restrictions
no
happened.
to the first one? Oh,
Oh no
okay,
no
right.
no
In case
because
she says no, I'm going to try again. All right, got
no
it.
no no we couldn't travel, so he had to stop the
Yeah,
first one, and then he planned
right.
another one more locally, and then full lockdown came in, and so then he had to rethink again.
Mm.
He didn't have the ring. He had to try and get the ring delivered to the house during lockdown, and there was a few different times that went wrong.
Oh, no.
Um, but it ended up we were dropping off care packages to
Mhm.
his family, and we dropped it off, and they'd set out like a fire pit outside so that we could like keep warm and shout over to them while we were dropping groceries off. And I turned around and he was just on one knee, and he was like, "I know it's not perfect, it's not what I planned, but," and I was like, "Are you joking?" Because he couldn't get the ring out of his pocket, and I thought he was trying to wind me up, and I was like, "This is not a funny joke." But he
That
eventually showed it. I was like, "Okay, you're not joking. It's okay." But it was
that's
just,
just what every guy wants to hear when they've wound up the courage to finally pop that big
yeah,
question, and they just go, "That's not funny." And like, oh, that's exactly what we need. That's how you know you got a keeper, someone who will stick by you even when you think their proposal is a joke. So
yep,
that,
yep.
yeah, yeah, that sounds lovely. Okay, well, congratulations, Nadia.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's go through to the final 10 questions. I have to tell everyone it is not a speed round. You don't have to answer as quickly as you can, but if you want to, by all means,
Oh,
go for it.
okay.
So, final 10 questions. Number one, what is your favorite word?
Oh, hippopotamus.
Can you say that 3 times quickly?
Hippopotamus, hippopotamus, hippopotamus.
What's the plural of hippopotamus?
Hippopotamus.
I think it's hippopotami, but
Did you ask
maybe
that
it's
question and not know
hippopotamuses.
the answer?
I don't
I don't
know.
know. I was gonna say
Neither.
hippopotami, but that did not sound right. So I thought maybe it would be like
Well,
sheep, where one is the same as
yeah,
the
I
plural.
don't know.
We'll find
I
out
wonder
after.
what the. Yeah, we'll Google that. Okay, question two. What is your least favorite word?
Ooh, moist.
Uh, yeah, yeah.
Don't like that. I don't know. It's.
I believe me, I've interviewed over 100, like probably over 200 people now, and the number of times that word has come up, and I've met people who literally can't say it. Like if they say
Oh,
it, it's like
really?
they literally can't say it. They hate it that much. So
You see the disgust in their face.
Yeah, it looks like they want to vomit. Anyway, question three. In life, what gets you excited or what turns you on?
Um, I think something that gets me really excited is having good people and meeting good
Hmm.
people. And it's something I think I value a lot more the past maybe 5 years of my life. I think as you get older, you notice a lot more and
Yeah.
you focus more on the quality of people there. And
Hmm.
you don't have to have known them forever. Sometimes you've only just met them, but you just know they're good people. So
Yeah.
yeah, I get super excited and I'm very fortunate to have a really good circle of awesome people.
Yeah. Quality over quantity, as I say.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's what turns you on. What turns you off?
Rudeness. I just don't think there's any need to be rude to anybody. So I don't know. If I see someone being rude, I would automatically just like, maybe they should rethink how they said that to that person. Especially
Yeah.
quite often, say if you're in a restaurant and someone's being
Mm.
rude to the staff or
Yeah.
any workplace, it's not good. It's not good at all.
Yeah. Question five. What sound or noise do you love?
Mm, oh, like a fire crackling.
Mm.
If you light a fire, it always reminds me of Christmas.
It's the only. Well, I guess you being in Ireland, yeah, that makes sense. We don't have fires here in Australia at Christmas. It's way too hot. But I keep saying that having a crackling fire is the only thing I like about Christmas, about winter, not about Christmas, because I'm not generally a winter fan. Are you a winter fan, a summer fan, or are you one of those people who's going to tell me spring or autumn?
Mm, see, the thing is, we rarely get like summers that are
In my,
summers.
I was going to say,
You know what I mean? So you don't really have a
yeah,
choice. You're it's an all year round thing. Um, at the minute, I don't really like this kind of transition where it's getting kind of really crisp and cold. I
yeah.
like it to be one or the other typically because you know what to dress for then. And I'm a cold person anyway. I'm always cold.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, the weather over there, you don't like the word moist, but that's how I keep describing like UK weather anyway. I've had a little bit of Irish weather, but it just seems
Mhm.
interminably moist and damp the whole time. So,
Sometimes, yeah, but then sometimes you
yeah.
get those really like fresh days. That's like
I
it's
haven't
so nice.
I haven't had one, so I
No,
will
you.
have to try and find one. It's rare for me to go to the UK and just go, "Oh my God, the weather is so nice."
Good
Anyway,
luck finding one.
exactly. Question six, what sound or noise do you hate?
Oh, like someone chewing like crisps or something
Oh,
with their like really loudly.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I dislike it. It makes me uncomfortable.
How uncomfortable.
Don't tell me you have crisps or something there.
No, no, I don't. I don't.
I was just waiting for you to start like eating them.
No,
No, it's
I finished all my potatoes the other day. Otherwise,
oh
I would have
no,
potatoes there, and I could actually eat potatoes for you. But
that's
I,
devastating. Not enough to like really bother me. It's just kind of enough that it pulls my attention sometimes.
okay.
If I'm trying to focus on something, so it's kind of like, yeah.
I ask because, like the word moist, the chewing sound is a recurring theme with my interviews. And I interviewed one girl, she's American. When you chew next to her, she starts crying. That's how bad her reaction is,
Oh
specifically
no,
the
I'm not that
crunchy
bad.
sounds. So I just wanted to, I
No,
wanted
no,
to ask.
no. I won't cry. I won't cry.
Okay, all right. Um, question seven. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
I would I would like to be invisible. What, like be able to choose when I'm invisible, not be invisible all the
Hmm.
time. I've thought about this quite a lot because I like to travel. I just can't afford to travel as much as I'd like. So I think I could like sneak onto planes and then, you know,
Okay.
free
I
flights.
always worry. I always worry about the people who say they want to be invisible because I always think they're the mischievous ones. Because you want to be able to do things, and okay, yeah, you want to sneak on a flight. Why not just pick the ability to fly or teleport? Why be invisible to go on a plane? Wouldn't it be easy just to be able to fly?
But there'd be more functions to being invisible too. Like, imagine you're going for a job interview. You could sneak in with a person before and see what they're going to ask,
Okay. All right.
you know?
As I said, the ones who want to be invisible, they're always the mischievous ones that you got to keep an eye out for. So let's move on. Question 8. What job or occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
I think I would, oh, well, I would like to try radio presenting. I think that would be really fun. But when I was growing up, I wanted to be a mechanic. So I think it would be fun to give that a go.
That's different.
Obviously,
You
if
mean
I
like
had
any
any
specific
idea.
mechanic? Like car
Just a car
mechanic?
mechanic. Yeah, just a car mechanic. Yeah. I think it's so impressive that they could just look at my car and know what's wrong with it. And I'm clueless.
Yeah, I can't do that. I just go, my
No.
car's making a funny sound or my car's not working. Can you fix it? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I've never changed my oil. I know how to change, I know how to put more water into the windscreen wiper stuff, and I know how to fill it up. But that sounds bizarre. But I do have a friend who didn't know how to fill the car up because she'd never filled the car up. Yeah.
Oh no. That could get you in a lot of trouble if you didn't have help.
Yeah, you just need to buy a new car every week.
Yeah.
Question 9. What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
I don't think I would like. Oh, that's a hard one.
It is for some people because they would pretty much give anything a go.
Yeah, I would give most things a go. Oh, I don't think I'd want to work in finance.
Numbers? You don't like the
The,
numbers?
the numbers and like I'm not really I'm not really built to sit at a screen at a computer all day. You know what I mean? Doing spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And I've had to do a lot more of that lately because normally I would be in out of primary schools, but I've had to do a lot more of even just spreadsheets and stuff at a computer lately, and I'm not really liking it. So yeah, I know I don't think I'd like to work in finance at all. And then the big numbers they work with scare me.
Yeah. I gotta say, I always get worried when someone says they really enjoy working with spreadsheets. I don't think that's normal. So you're not
I know
alone
people.
in that one.
I know those people. Scary.
What's wrong with them? How
No,
you can
no,
enjoy spreadsheets.
so the fact that they not everyone, but someone got really excited over a nested diff, which is a formula on a spreadsheet, and they started telling me about a friend of mine, so they don't mind me saying, but I was like, sorry, what? I just don't understand. I don't think my brain works that way.
I know what Excel is. I don't like it. And that's about as far as I want to go. Google Sheets. Anyway, Nadia, final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Thank you for helping out.
It would be nice to hear that.
Yeah.
Chloe Louise has said coffee.
It would be good if you offered me coffee too.
Yeah, Chloe, I could use a coffee right now, so please get on that. She's also said sneaking on planes is the most genius idea I've ever heard. I still think it'd be easier
Thanks,
to
Chloe.
fly, but because coming from Australia, flying anywhere takes like 48 hours, so I would rather just click my fingers and be somewhere else. Anyway, I guess if I was invisible, I could sneak all the alcohol and drink it, and no one would know. Don't do that, by the way.
Exactly.
I'm not
No,
endorsing
I won't do that. I won't do that if I'm invisible.
I would never do that. Someone else can do that. Anyway, Nadia, look, thank you so much for your time and best of luck with your universe journey.
Thank you so much.
And I'll keep you on the line for just a sec whilst I hang up with the audience. But thanks to everyone for watching, whether it's live or on the replay, and submitting all your questions. And we will speak to you next time. Hey, it's Adrian again. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to head up to pageantlaunch.com to join the launch team for our pageant review site. All you have to do is enter your email address. It's completely free. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with your friends and follow us on all our socials. Thanks, and see you next time.